Hello everybody and welcome back to the Duel Links character collection series. Today, however, we are not going to unlock a new character. Instead, I would like to go into some detail regarding my standard deck. Whenever I unlock a new character, I replace the cards in their starter deck with what I call my standard deck. Making one that follows a theme like Sun Avalon takes time and resources. I want to use a character immediately after unlocking them. The deck that I give them is by no means awesome or unbeatable, but it comes with some benefits. This video is about my card choices and my thoughts when making a standard deck. One of the benefits is that the deck can be used by any character and is not dependent on specific skills. Destiny Draw, Life Point Boost Alpha, Holy Guard and the likes could not hurt, but a skill is not mandatory. To me that means I can use the character at level 1 already. Another benefit is that the cards are fairly easy to get. Yeah, sure, I blew a lot of gems on packs of Rampage of the Forest and Future Horizon. However, you do not need the exact same cards I am using. This is more so about the principle. I already had the cards and made the deck. Here we have the third benefit. Since you do not need specific cards and can use what you have, even upgrading your deck every now and then, the cheapness shows its appeal. Finally, I am a dumb player. That is a me problem, but if you are new to the game or returning after years of absence, you might not know what's going on. While themed decks can be simple, they require some knowledge to pilot them in the most optimal way. One mistake and you're toast. This deck is what I would describe as a beatdown strategy. Summon low-level monsters with acceptable attack and run over your opponent's monsters until you win. Simple as in the good old days. Sometimes I do not pay full attention but can still make the optimal play because there basically only is one way to do things. Simplicity helps dummies like me and the AI when auto-dueling using this deck. The less complicated your deck is, the better the AI can handle it. And I am using the auto-duel function frequently. Simplicity also means that decisions are made quickly and therefore you don't spend a lot of time maximizing the amount of duels you can complete in a set amount of time. With this deck I usually beat standard duelists if I pick them wisely and legendary duelists. Every once in a while auto-duel can squeeze out a win against a vagabond. Back in the day when we needed to get to silver rank 1 for DM Mokuba, a deck like this got me there not losing too many duels. Ever since then, times have changed and power creep exists, but the deck worked against other people. I threw my head into the wall until I got those wins. Like always, persistence helps. Honestly, you might be surprised at how much synergy there is. By pure accident, nonetheless. The character I would like to choose as an example is Spectre. He gained some levels already. Whatever. So let's build the deck. I sorted my favorites by attack descending. The first cards to be added, therefore, are my extra deck monsters, followed by the main deck monsters, spells, and traps. Save the deck and apply some cosmetic changes if you want, like setting a new signature card and changing sleeves and game mat. We save the deck after those cosmetic changes, and now I want to give you a detailed profile of the cards I use here. Starting off, we have Salamangreat Jaguar. Level up Soul Burner for this free-to-play 1800 beatstick that also deals piercing damage. It is a fire monster which might be relevant, but it also is one of the few Cybers type monsters you can get without spending resources. At least 2 character unlock missions, one for Blue Angel and one for Ghost Girl, require the use of Cybers monsters. You will be glad to have him. World Caratweight Champion was obtained when I dug into Rampage of the Forest for some usable spells and traps to replace block attack, stop defense and the likes from the starter deck. It can be special summoned from the graveyard once per turn and can help with extra deck summons. Once it is in the graveyard, you normal summon a level 4, discard a plant to special carrot and do what you want. As a dark monster, it helps with fulfilling the hidden requirement for Esther's missions to show up in the first place. Akiza's unlock needs you to play plant monsters and carrot is your friend here. 1900 attack usually pulverizes any monster the NPCs get out. If not, Carrot makes you an extra deck monster suited for the job. The only thing that sucks about him is his 0 defense. Cross-Sword Beetle is from Rampage of the Forest as well. It can give all my insect monsters piercing battle damage as long as I control at least one other insect. While its typing is not too significant, it being a wind monster helps on occasion, like when summoning 10 wind monsters for unlocking 5D's World. By the way, Winged Rhinos as another 1800 attack wind monster from Rampage of the Forest helps in that too. Even Beetle's 1200 defense can clutch out a win or two with Spike Shield. More on that later. On my hunt for Stardust Spark Dragon and more synchro monsters for 5D's World and Arc 5 Worlds Hugo, I was bound to grab a few copies of Angel Trumpeter. It being a tuner makes synchros possible, and it being a level 4 turns XYZ plays online. 1900 attack is quite solid and 1600 defense proved to be impenetrable more often than you think. If you want to win a duel with Earth monsters only for one of Bastion's missions, Trumpeter supports you, and as a plant you can discard it for World Caratway Champion Special Summon. Angel Trumpeter is right at home in this deck. Insect Knight is yet another find from Rampage of the Forest. Stating the obvious here, it's an insect, so Crossword Beetle gives it piercing battle damage when both are on the field. It being an Earth attribute helps with the Bastion mission again. 1900 attack is enough to take out the trash, and 1500 defense is only slightly lower than Angel Trumpeters, but still high enough for us. That's it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells. I start with Arrival. Arrival's a card from, you guessed it, Rampage of the Forest. As a quick play spell, you activate it in the battle phase. The battle phase, not necessarily your own, to normal summon a monster from your hand. That enables quick victories like it's nobody's business. Also, if your opponent destroyed your last monster during their battle phase, you activate this to summon a guy from hand. During your own turn, you summon another one and can make an extra deck play. Not only quick victory support here, but also a potential comeback card. The only other spell I frequently play is Gravity Lash. I have 2 copies of this quick play spell from Rampage of the Forest. This card was one of the reasons I went into Rampage to begin with. Its effect is that it decreases a monster's attack by that same monster's defense. That lasts until the end phase of the turn and can be used to protect yourself. You could even be cheeky and use it on one of your monsters, for example in response to your opponent activating Reverse Trap. I hate that card. Or you could weaken your monster and run into an opponent's monster to lose life points on purpose. That's what I did during Duke Devlin's unlock, I think. For the comeback victory missions, you know. Gravity Lash is useless against monsters with 0 defense and linked monsters that do not have a defense stat. Also, the Auto Duel AI cannot use this card to its full potential. It helped me out a lot and therefore I like it quite a bit. Coming up next are the traps, and we start with a fan favorite, Mirror Force. If you activate a total of 30 traps in speed duels, you can grab it from the Lifetimes card list. You activate 30 traps within your first few hours of playing without even noticing. Easily obtained. In case you don't know this card, the Terror of Playgrounds Worldwide can only be activated if an opponent's monster declares an attack. Then it blows up every attack position monster they control. While other players in ranked and stuff know how to deal with that, most NPCs don't. This card turned the tides of so many duels I had on this account that I cannot help myself but recommend it, 12 out of 10. You need this for one of Ghost Girl's unlock missions, and as a prismatic card it will grant you many duel assessment points. Next is a card that normally concludes my trap lineup, Spike Shield with Chain. Yep, a Rampage of the Forest, alright. It equips itself to a monster, giving it 500 attack points. That does not sound too great, however, if the equipped monster is in defense position and battles a monster, its attack points are added to its defense stat for that battle. That would turn an Insect Knight into a 3900 defense wall. Some people don't read. Once I had a guy in ranked run into my Spike Shield with one monster, doing the same with a second one, losing them the duel. This card is the main reason I went into Rampage of the Forest in the first place. High battle damage for several missions can be accomplished, and nothing is funnier than having an opponent run into one of your defenders that you equip with several Spike Shields. Just hilarious. Sometimes I replace the Spike Shields with Floodgate Trap Hole, especially in Vrain's World to prevent link summons early. I obtained 3 copies of this trap by getting the Blue Eye structure deck from entering a friend code. Since I want you to be able to get it yourself, I posted 3 different friend codes in my introduction to the Character Collection series. Now you can have 3 Floodgate Trap Holes as well. On summon, it changes the monster to face down defense position. That battle position cannot be changed manually and the monster cannot attack. If you use all 3 Floodgate Trap Holes, you can render the opponent's entire monster zone useless. No link summons, no synchro summons, no XYZ summons, just fusions and tributes. I did this against level 30 Jessie to get out my Proto Cyber Dragons for Cyber End Dragon, one of the Duel missions. Floodgate can also cut an opponent's turn short, like with the standard duelists that play Thunder Family. If they summon Mahanda or Pahanda, Floodgate it and their turn ends. Moving on to the extra deck, we have Stardust Spark Dragon. Let's address the elephant in the room. It is from Future Horizon and it is an ultra rare, which makes this card quite expensive to get. While we do not need it for the majority of the unlock missions, I like to have it in my toolbox. It's a generic level 8 synchro, so Angel Trumpeter plus any level 4 can get into it. As a light, it can contribute to Ishizu's hidden requirement of summoning light monsters, and its effect can protect one face-up card from the first destruction this turn. While I prefer regular Stardust Dragon most of the time, this effect has its advantages over Stardust. The level 33 standard duelist deck Heart of the Underdog can use Order to Charge to pop Sparky. Sparky chains to protect itself, and they lose their spell and their monster. They would then use their spell Gravedigger Ghoul to banish a regular Stardust from the graveyard, but since Sparky stays on the field, it sticks around. The Red Dragon Archfiend can be obtained from buying the structure deck King's Resonance. That costs 1000 gems though, and I did not really need him for my unlocks, only adding him fairly late. He, just like Sparky, belongs in my extra deck toolbox to deal with standard and legendary duelists. You summon it like Sparky. If Archfiend attacks a defense position monster, all of the opponent's defense position monsters are destroyed. Good against Dusei Sonic chicks, let me tell ya. The supposed downside of having this 3000 attack giant is that in my end phase it destroys all of my other monsters that did not attack this turn. Excuse me, is that even supposed to be a downside? I can make use of that to pop my stuff, clearing my monster zones for more shenanigans, setting up my graveyard, that's fine. And with its attack it can run over most of the threats NPCs bring to the table. It's finally time to talk about Stardust Dragon. This particular copy is obtained when spending 1000 gems on the Stardust Nexus structure deck. That one is a structure deck I can recommend for unlocking, as it comes with good stuff like Boost Warrior and Formula Synchron that massively help during your 5D's character unlocking spree. If an effect would destroy cards on the field, Stardust tributes itself to stop that. In the end phase, it special summons itself back from the graveyard. Not only does Mr. Stardust provide protection, but it also can help out with certain missions that need you to special summon. Use cast to blow your own monsters up, negate them, bring Stardust back. Sounds stupid, but it is an option. And if nothing else, Stardust Dragon negates opponent's destruction, which can come in handy. The level 33 standard duelist, Thunder Family, and all different difficulty levels of the legendary NPC Yubel are boned when you have a Stardust Dragon. I like that guy. Moving on to the XYZ monsters, we have a Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon. I spent 1000 gems on the structure deck Odd as Challenger to help out with a few Arc 5 World character unlocks, and Dark Rep was in there. Generic rank 4 that makes it as easy to summon as you can get the card itself. By detaching both of its materials, it can cut an opponent's monster's attack in half permanently to gain the lost amount permanently. That is nifty because with just 2 level 4 monsters on your field, you can make a dude that has ginormous attack running over your opponent's strongest underlings with ease. Duel AI loves that card. The XYZ monster in here happens to be a rank 4 dragon as well, Kachi Kochi Dragon. It was a login bonus, but you can get it with most of your ultra rare card tickets you get when making your account. My ticket was prismatic one on purpose, so that I would frequently get the prismatic bonus for more dual assessment points. The regular ultra rare ticket works too. Kachi has 2100 attack and can detach once per turn after attacking over a monster to have a second attack. If I have 2 level 4 monsters with 1900 attack each, that is less damage than Kachi with 2100 on 2 attacks, obviously. Some opponents, like the level 33 standard duelist union monsters too, like to play high defense stat monsters like Descendel. My main deck dudes cannot get over that, Kachi can. Kachi happens to be one of my main tools for getting them quick victories. Where are the Link monsters? I got one right here. Gaia Saber, the Lightning Shadow, is a card from the card trader. It does not have an effect, but makes up for that by being a generic Link 3 and sitting at 2600 attack points. Not having an effect means it is unaffected by certain cards or effects. As a Link monster, it cannot go to defense, which makes Crawler's Zero Gravity and Cyrus True State's Inverse Universe useless against it. Believe it or not, but getting out Gaia Saber as soon as possible was my top priority during those unlocked duels, as Gaia Saber on itself becomes a win con. Sometimes when I have to summon certain monsters but did not pay attention and clogged up my board, I bust out Gaia Saber to make some space for more monsters. To be fair, any Link monster can do that for you, but Gaia Saber is quite accessible and I prefer that. To sum up, the deck consists of 13 level 4 monsters with high attack and no downside, unlike let's say Jiraigumo, 3 spells and 4 traps, one of which being the free-to-play Mirror Force. Our extra deck here is whatever. Generic rank 4 XYZ monsters, and with the inclusion of tuners, I have synchro options. A generic link 3 from the card trader for emergencies, and that is it. No skill means I can put it on a level 1 character, and they will not perform worse than a level 45 character on this account would. I like the ratios in my main deck because with those I should almost always have something usable. Of course, I may open back row only or monsters only, and that annoyingly happens more often than I'd like to admit. However, the ratio proved to be solid overall. With the deck built, we can hop into the duels. I can work with the deck, but what about the AI? Let's have them auto-duel level 30 Ghost Girl who currently is in the world. No speeding the duel up this time so that the simplicity can be comprehended to its full extent. Also, it should be a short duel. While auto-dueling does not always go for the best plays, it is generally faster than me. Usually I pick easy standard duelists I know how to beat and decide whether or not I need to pilot the deck myself. An example might be the level 33 Heart of the Underdog standard duelist. Our AI goes for extra deck monsters as soon as possible and then stumbles over one order to charge. The solution is Stardust Spark Dragon, but our AI does not know how to use its effect. In that case, good old me needs to do this. Occasionally I do not feel like dealing with certain opponents and let Auto Duel take over. I risk losing the duel and therefore cutting my earned experience in half, but I do not have the trouble of facing those guys myself. This duel against Ghost Girl is a fast one, mainly due to us getting lucky and her getting unlucky. Next up is the Gore. Unfortunately at level 10, so this is a foregone conclusion. Unlike with Stardust Spark Dragon's effect, the AI at least knows how to use Gravity Lash. However, when watching these auto duels, I often see an opportunity for a finish through the use of Gravity Lash during my battle phase. Our AI, however, does not see that and seems to activate Gravity Lash exclusively as a defensive option. Goes to show that some cards are better suited for auto-dueling than others. The deck seems to be working so far. Okay, we can beat some opponents, but what about specific tasks? What about character unlock missions? Do we need a new deck? Not necessarily. The deck works well enough for me to swap out some cards without hurting the performance, but still being able to go for certain missions. You are sick of hearing the words vessel farm at this point, but with just a few changes we can turn this into a vessel farm. All its core components are tagged as my favorites as well to get quick and easy access. One card I would like to add to my collection is the rank 4 super rare number 70 Malevolent Sin. I currently do not have any urgent targets for a super rare dream ticket, so I want to get one. Little do I know that I already own a copy on this account. However, showing you how to get to your card tickets, use them and filter cards for fast access couldn't hurt. There it is. Oops, already have a copy. Since I have the extra deck space, I might as well add it to the freshly built deck and, more importantly, tag it as a favorite for fast access in the future. Number 70 Malevolent Sin is a generic rank 4 like the others, but with 2400 base attack, it is already stronger than Kachi. After each attack, it gains 3 ranks and 300 attack points permanently, becoming your best friend when it comes to dealing a lot of battle damage. It is a dark that again helps with Esther's hidden requirement. As an insect, it benefits from Crossword Beetle's piercing battle damage, and its effect is just pure awesomeness. You can detach a material to banish an opponent's monster until their next standby phase, getting rid of all its buffs or clearing the way for a finishing blow. If you detach a World Carrot Weight champion and have a Trumpeter in hand, you banish the monster and special carrot for 4300 points of damage if they don't control another monster. Quite a dope card, big fan. You do not need to build this exact deck, it might not work for you, or maybe it is too expensive with all the Future Horizon and Rampage of the Forest packs. You maybe do not want to use your precious super rare dream ticket on a number 70. Do as you wish and build a deck the way you want. There is no wrong way, except not having a single playable card besides 20 to 30 high level monsters that need tributes and stuff. You know what I mean. Once I level up Spectre some more, I can use his level up cards in a proper build of Sun Avalons. Right now I do not need to be concerned with that, spending my gems on packs of Boral Sword Slash. I have a universal deck to work with and can spend resources on cards in the future. Until then, Spectre can get levels and therefore skills which may come in handy later. My standard deck is sort of a placeholder that does what I need it to do. I don't really have anything else to say about the speed version of my standard deck. The deck building in Rush format was more difficult to get into, for me at least. When 7th World was released, I did not know how to build a Rush deck. I still don't know, but I cooked something up. First difference to speed format, deck size. The deck now has 30 to 40 cards. Second difference, no extra monster zones on the field. Third difference, almost no extra deck. They eventually released fusion support for Rush, but I'm not playing that in my standard deck. Maybe I should. Fourth difference, cards have a legend status, which means you can only play one copy of that and no other legendary card of the same category, like Blue Eyes White Dragon and Dark Magician, as they are both legendary monsters. Fifth difference, lots of drawing cards. You draw each turn until you have 5 cards. If you have 4 or more already, you draw 1. Also, you basically have infinite normal summons per turn. Final difference I want to mention is the existence of maximum monsters. Those are 3 monsters you summon at once, and then their maximum attack is applied. Harpy Lady Sisters, for example, becomes a 3400 attack menace. They also gain bonus effects like beefing themselves up further or being immune to traps. Due to my lack of experience, I tried different ratios and came up with this hot mess. For starters, I have a Blue Eyes White Dragon that I obtained as a login bonus. If you don't have it, you can play any other card basically. 3000 attack is pretty solid. You also get a bonus for summoning a legendary monster. NPCs usually only get over this with a maximum monster. Next, I have Ultimate Flag Mag Tough Striker, a card from the structure deck, the Ultimate Ace Breaker, go figure. When the structure deck was released, we got one copy of it for free. It has 2500 attack, but you can play a copy of our next card instead. That would be Max Raider. This ultra rare monster is included in many character starter decks. 2 tributes for 2400 attack, slightly weaker than Tough Striker but a budget option. This guy concludes my lineup of level 7 plus monsters. We have some lower level tributes in here as well, and I picked the highest attack buddy I could find. Fire Guardian can be obtained from leveling up Lucidian or as a random drop reward after duels against him. It's a Luke card. Besides 6 tribute monsters, I play 18 low-level monsters with decent attack. Here I recommend you use what you have. I settled on level 4 non-effect monsters with 1500 attack. The first one to show up in this profile is Dragorite, a rare card from the first Rush box, 7th New Road. Not the last time I say that. The Dark Sorcerers were in that box as well. I think we got some packs for free, or I just went in there to get rush cards as my pool was so limited without any resource investment. The copies of Angler Coilfish were in the box Genesis Maximum, which we might have been able to pull for free courtesy of a special campaign, but don't quote me on that. Also, at that time, lifetime skill missions were still a thing, and I might have needed some stuff from that box, hence investing some gems. I got the 3 Search Boat Lizards from that same box, and since they're 1500 attack, power crept my other monsters I had at that time, I put them into the deck. Also, I bought at least 3 rush bundles with gems and might have gotten my packs and therefore copies of this card in the process. Dark Femtron was another one of those level 4 beatsticks I found in Genesis Maximum. Nowadays you may want to play something like Transam Linek, but that is an ultra rare and therefore harder to get. When buying those bundles, I must have obtained several copies of Faithbird, which is yet another 1500 attack friend. Not really much going on here, as none of my main deck monsters has an effect to talk about. The first spell of note is Burst Stream of Destruction, which only works with Blue Eyes. If you don't have a Blue Eyes, you don't need to buy that bundle. It destroys all monsters on my opponent's side of the field, but Blue Eyes cannot attack this turn. Comes up every now and then. Alternatively, there is a card you can play to pop 1 monster, Tribute to the Doomed. This bundle card requires a discard from a hand and destroys 1 monster on the field. Pretty neat, I must say. Since most maximum monsters I know have too much attack to run over in battle and are immune to traps, a card like this one helps out. Besides destroying monsters, we want to destroy back row cards as well. There are a few in the game, but those rely on certain monster types like dragons. Hammer Crush is a generic option. Discard 1 and destroy 1. It can be found in the structure decks Soul with Eyes of Blue and Hero Stage. I like it. You know what else I like? A trap that destroys an attacking monster. Sure, there are alternatives to Widespread Ruin, but if you have the gems, you might want to go for the bundle. While it cannot touch most maximum monsters due to their trap immunity, this card can keep you in the game. Happened to me many times. Finally, I have 2 copies of The Barrier. Besides its creative name, this guy works as a battle trap. If an opponent's monster attacks, you shuffle 1 monster from your graveyard back into the deck to make the attacker lose 400 attack points. Can turn the tides and bumps up your deck size mid-duel to make it so your opponent runs out of cards first, and then you win. Laugh at me if you want, but I did this a few times. If you can't beat them, let the rules do it for you. No extra deck, since I would not be able to summon a fusion monster with this, and even if I could, the fusion materials are weak and ultimately not necessarily worth the deck space. We also would need to include at least 1 copy of the spell card Fusion. I don't have that in my standard deck, so who cares? Time to build a deck. Even without the favorites tab, it does not take too long. The filter function helps, and I'm better at using it here than in Master Duel. The reason I go with non-effect monsters exclusively is just out of comfort when I need to change the deck. Sometimes a stage mission or even a character unlock mission requires me to summon a certain signature monster. Then I need to slap a skill on the deck to add the monster, like the skill Rush on 7th Road adds 7th Road Magician to Yuga's deck. That skill and its equivalents only work if none of my high-level monsters are effect monsters. Then, having low-level non-effect monsters, I do not have to keep track of effects. Simplicity, remember? The ratios are 3 level 7 or higher tribute monsters, 3 level 6 or level 5 tribute monsters, 18 level 4 beatsticks, 3 spells and 3 traps. For a deck that has no theme to follow, I can work with it. A lot of testing made the ratios correct for me. The high-level monsters are in here to run over opponents' threats, serve as upgrades to the low-level monsters I have on the field, and empty my hand so that I draw more cards next turn. If I summon Blue Eyes White Dragon in the first turn, I use it and 2 low-level monsters and can draw at least 3 cards next turn. More than 3 high-level monsters prove to be too bricky for me when I sometimes draw into them and don't have small monsters to tribute, and sometimes I have 1 level 4 monster. In that case, I would like to bust out a level 6 monster. That would be Fire Guardian. With 18 low-level monsters, I draw into them frequently to have tribute material as well as meat shields and don't break all that often. The remaining 6 slots are reserved for spells and traps. I use what I have. If you don't have Widespread Ruin, for example, play another copy of the Barrier. Honestly, main account was playing life point gainers like Red Medicine in the very beginning. It is what it is. So much for the boring theory. Let's give control to auto-dueling and see if the deck is worth anything. Our first opponent happens to be a level 1 standard duelist. Oh, you poor soul. That duel will not take too long. Auto-duel likes to set low-level monsters before immediately tributing them off. I wonder why, but it does not matter in the end. Something the opponent's AI does is always summoning their monsters in attack position, no matter how weak they are. If your monsters are stronger, which they will be most of the time, you deal damage to them and that guarantees a fairly fast win. There is a surprising amount of effect damage in those NPC decks, mainly good old sparks. Gavin specifically plays a monster that burns you for having back row on your field. That is annoying because it takes away the no damage taken bonus, but it never is game ending. Low-level NPCs simply do not have the spells and traps to make a difference. So while I'm initially mad at them for burning me, I calm down quickly when realizing that they do not have anything else going on. Better get sparked than burst streamed, I guess. Our second opponent here is level 20 Roa, for no other reason than being here right now. I mean, I have to show some duels. And if he's here, why not take him out for free? Even if you keep my ratios, you do not have to play those exact monsters. In the beginning, you will have stuff like Celtic Guardian from the starter decks. You might want to play those and swap them out for stronger and better monsters over time. For spells and traps, you can play whatever you want as well. My deck profile is not the only correct one. It works for me and may be of use if you do not know where to start with. Having archival skills makes playing themed decks like Heroes and Cyber Dragon on every single character a viable option. Again, my standard deck here is just a placeholder for a themed deck to gather some experience. You build your deck your way, and that is perfect. Thank you so much for watching.